Okay, this is now the 5-minute tarot for the 13th of July 2017. And today, there's a video I made a while ago, don't remember when, and it was about reading the picture in the Rider-Waite deck. And someone by the name of Lourdes left a comment saying that with the Rider-Waite deck, there isn't that much detail, there isn't much to see, there isn't much visual activity, let's say, in the Rider-Waite deck, especially with the aces. So she finds that she needs to memorize or learn the meanings. And which made me think, is it actually, I think I want to disagree with her. There isn't much to see with the Rider deck. And I wanted to give you a couple of examples of two aces. Because she mentioned this, and I thought, I'll have to look at the ace. So I've got the Ace of Pentacles here, and then I'm going to look at the Ace of Batons, which is here. Okay. But before that, yesterday I spoke about how it's not so much memorizing, it's more you talk about cards and you figure out what's going on. And even if there are contradictions, or if you've got a whole variety of different meanings, it doesn't mean that you get anxious or you get confused or you get mixed up, or you get that you think you don't know what to do, you're not going to know what to do. What you're doing by exploring cards and looking at what's in them and what it might mean, is that you're developing a basic understanding of what's going on in the picture, which means not that the understanding or the picture is a self-contained unit. It's not that it exists, but it's more, what's important is the question. So when you know what the question is, you then know what to do with the card that comes up that gives you the answer. So because you know the question, there aren't the same contradictions. You're going to know what makes, and it's what makes sense for the question, for the answer to the question that has been asked. So if you find that you do this kind of exercise and you think, oh no, well, it means this, but it also means the opposite, don't think they cancel each other out or that you're in trouble. Just understand, okay, you've got a big variety of things going on, but depending what the question is, that knowing the question will allow you to eliminate certain possibilities or to ignore certain meanings because they don't apply with this question, with this questioner right now. Even though tomorrow the same person can ask a similar question and maybe you would give a slightly different shade of meaning for the card. Okay, so we've got this Ace of Pentacles. Okay, I'll probably put it on, no, I won't put it on screen. So we've got a hand emerging from a cloud, and you can see the thumb and the forefinger. And that's important, and I'll come back to that with the Ace of Batons. But the thumb is Venus, right, for balance, and the first finger is Jupiter, that represents expansion. So the Ace of Pentacles is, if you're going to expand, you do it in a balanced kind of a way. We've also got a pentacle. We've got two circles around the outside and a 5-pointed star inside. So that's a lot that you can do something with as well. But the 5-pointed star can be man, or it can be the 5 senses. But it's upright, so it's not that you want to use senses is dominating the others. But also we've got the top point here. Okay, that can be the head, and you've got the two here can be the arms, and these can be the feet. So you've got the head controlling the body, and the mentality and ideas and intelligence controlling the your hands and your feet. And the feet can represent motion and moving, and the hands can represent manipulation. But they're guided, they're controlled, they're made use of because the head is in control. Whereas if it's upside down, then, the head is not, intelligence is not as important. So we've got that going. We've got a grey sky, which can mean that, there are no clouds, there's no wind, there's no sunshine either. And then we're in some kind of garden, and it's enclosed. So we've got there's a path. So there's a direction in which we could go, and there's an opening, and we've got a blue mountain in the distance. So we've got possibilities outside the garden. So there are possibilities beyond where you actually are at the moment, because the garden can represent your current situation, and the fact that the hedge in the distance is uncut. It hasn't been cleaned or hasn't been fixed up for a while, and it's beginning to get a little bit out of control, we might say. So we can think that um, in your current situation, you're not taking care of it, right? You're not taking care of your situation. You're not taking care of the boundaries. You're letting the boundaries. So this can mean that you've got certain habits, but you're prepared to let your standards slip. And so generally you don't do something, but you might, and it's so we've got that could be relevant for the question that's being asked. And then we've got so it's a bit like in your garden, you're not taking care of it, maybe because you're bored with it and you're looking for something new. But the fact that you're not taking care of it can be the reason why it's an ace and why you want a new beginning. Um, and the fact that there's a doorway, there is an exit point. It's not like a hedge all the way along, and there's no obvious exit. There's no obvious way out of the situation. Whereas here with the Ace of Pentacles, there is an obvious way out, and in the distance, there's a path leading to it. So it's not like you've got to discover how to get out of the situation. You already know it, or somebody's already told you what to do, or there's an idea of how it could be done. Whereas if there were a hedge with no break in it and no door, then you would be more stuck, and you would have to figure out, okay, how am I going to get out of here? But because there's a path, the way out is already clear, it's already defined. You know what to do, or somebody's going to tell you what to do, and then it's up to you to actually walk along the path and go out. But also the mountain in the distance can mean that um, you need an idea of where you're going to go, and so on. So that there's actually quite a lot going on here that you can relate to a question. And then we've got the Ace of Batons. So there's a difference, because in the Ace of Pentacles, we've got the hand and we can only see the thumb and the forefinger. But with the Ace of Batons, we can see the thumb and all four fingers. So maybe with the Ace of Batons, there's energy and enterprise because everything is involved. You've got the thumb and the four fingers. So you've got balance, you've got expansion, you've got discipline, you've got inspiration, and you've got thought. The four fingers and the thumb, and they're all working together, and they're all cooperating with each other, which can be how or why the Ace of Batons can be so can accomplish so much, can achieve so much, because everything is working together in the same direction. And then you've got this baton that's being held up, and you've got some branches growing from it, so it's alive, and it will, if you cut off a branch, it'll grow a replacement. So that if with your plan you come to a dead end, it doesn't mean that you're finished. It means another path is going to open up, right? In the same way that if you prune a plant, it encourages growth. So we've got batons here. I mean, we've got little branches coming off here, indicating that there's an awful lot of possibilities included in the situation. But we've also got some leaves falling off. So that can tell you that you've got your situation, but you've got other bits and pieces that are involved, maybe not directly involved because the little leaves falling aren't touching the baton, but nevertheless it can be important to look around. So you look at the situation, but you also look around in the environment and see what else is there that might distract you, because the fluttering of the leaf can be a distraction. Or maybe it's other people or other situations that really ought to be addressed as well. So we've got, but the other thing is the contrast with the Ace of Pentacles. Here in the Ace of Pentacles, we're inside an enclosed space. We're inside a garden, or we're on one side of the fence. But with the Ace of Batons, we're outdoors. There's freedom. There's no restriction. There's possibility of movement. With the Ace of Batons, that doesn't. This is as if you've already walked out with the Ace of Batons, and you're in this in this wide open space and you're free, whereas with the Ace of Pentacles you're inside an enclosed space, so you're not as free with the Ace of Pentacles as you are with the Ace of Batons. And being somewhat limited and constricted and confined can be important. So with the Ace of Pentacles comes up, the questioner really needs to say, okay, where are the limits? What's holding me back? Is it my own beliefs? Or is it circumstances? Is it other people who control the finances, let's say? So you want to buy a house, but you need the money. So you have to go to the bank, and the bank controls you for a while. And so that can be represented by being inside the garden. Whereas if you want to buy a house and you've got the Ace of Batons, you've already got the money, or it's not going to be a problem the same way, or it's not going to mean that you are, to some extent, confined by the financial obligations of the Ace of Pentacles. So here we're outdoors, we've got a river, we've got wide open spaces. We've also got, instead of in this one, we've got a blue mountain in the distance. Here we've got a building on a hilltop in the distance. And that can mean that you know that you're going to achieve because you're up high, which can represent success, right? But it's not just a mountain where there's nothing, it's just a mountain. You can go up, but you're not protected from the elements on top of the mountain. But here it's a well-established, maybe fortified building, several story, more than one story high. So there's, it's telling a very different story about what is possible with the Ace of Batons, because I can't do this backwards, that building is possible with the Ace of Batons, whereas what's possible with the Ace of Pentacles at this point, when the Ace comes up, a blue mountaintop. And then we've got the cloud and we've got the hand. And so, okay, so I'm going to stop, but you can look at the picture and think there's not a lot going on. But if you look at the picture and think about the individual elements and the bits and pieces within it, you're going to and do something with them and think about what they might mean, or what it could tell you about an answer to a question. So you can look at it and think, well, it's just a pentacle. And that's what the man in the street would do. But you're a tarot reader and you're studying it. So what to the man in the street is just a coin, to you, it's a 5-pointed star, and it's the number 5, and it's the head and the hands and the feet, and it's the 5 senses. And you can do, and if it's upside down, then one of the senses is trying to control, or else you're too dominated by, your senses instead of, and it's time for a little bit of thought and intelligence and so on. So I think I disagree with Lourdes that there isn't much going on or there isn't much to see in the Rider deck. So try that. And if you have questions or comments, leave one down below. Okay, thank you very much. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.